Hello world, how y'all doing, man? It's another blessed day, and today's topic is coming from Sean B. I believe it's Sean B 2381, I believe. But Sean B, I asked some of my supporters and subscribers to go in the comments and give me the next topic that they would like for me to speak about. And Sean B asked, what was life like growing up for me in the Melphomene Projects? He wanted to know what that was like. He wanted to hear some more of my positive talk, and he also wanted to hear me speak about any old beefs that I may have had. Well, I'm going to address some of those topics right now. I want to address a lot of them, but I'm going to try to accommodate Mr. Sean B today. And I'm going to start off by saying there are 3 projects in Uptown New Orleans 3rd Ward. There's the Magnolia, there's the Callio, and then there's my project, the Melphomene. For short, we call it the Melph. And there are 3 courtways. There's the Martin Luther King courtway, which there's Martin Luther King and Dahlia Street. It sits in the middle of those 2 streets. Then there's the middle court, where there's Dahlia Street and Ryder Street, and the courtway sits in the middle of that. Then there's Clio side of the project, which is my side where I grew up at. It sits in between the driveway of Irado and Clio Street. And those are the 3 courtways in the Melphomene Project. Not a very big project, but big enough. You know what I'm saying? But growing up in the Melph was no easy task. It was hard in a lot of ways, and it was great. I mean, it was good because the Melph made me who I am today. It played a part in making me who I am today. There was stuff that we went through in the Melph that we didn't want to go through, but we had to go through. And some of those things created good people. You know what I'm saying? Good people came out of that project. It was a time where people in the project really came together as in camaraderie. It was a camaraderie with everybody in the project. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong, there were those times where people got into it with each other. Me specifically, I got into it with different people out of the project. But, I mean, it helped shape us. It helped form us and gave us a different mindset of things as we were growing up. But I will say that Melph did help us in a lot of ways, because if you were in that project, you came from the bottom. Making it out of that project, anything outside of that project, you made it to the top. You were on your way to the top. So yeah, I mean, but I love my hood. I love my hood. Actually, at one time in my life, I put the hood on my shoulders and walked with it. I represented that project for a very long time. But as time went on, I grew up, I matured, and I had to leave that life behind me. But I love my project, man. There was some great times in that project. But coming up small, as a kid, the first thing you learned in the Melph, anybody would tell you this, the first thing you learned was how to fight. Oh yeah. That's the first thing you learn in that project. If you were scary and got bullied every day, you got bullied until you learn how to fight. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. There are a lot of individuals that came out that project that couldn't fight at the age of 8, 9, 10 years old. By the time they were 15 to 16, they were well versed. They were well talented in the ways of fighting, because that's what it was. You had to get your respect by fighting. And I got a lot of respect for me, my brothers, and my sisters with these here. Yeah, we definitely learned a lesson back there growing up in that project. I'm the oldest of 4 boys and 1 girl. I got 1 sister. But in that project, you had to learn how to fight, because every day it was something different. Somebody was picking with you. You was getting into it, because we were a project of many sports. We used to love to play basketball, football. We used to actually put together This is where the camaraderie I was talking about. We used to put together and buy those real deal basketball goals. You know what I'm saying? Like the real deal basketball goals. We used to put like $800,000, $900,000 together to buy those basketball goals and run whole court with each other. Brand new nets, everything. We used to brand new basketball. We used to put our money, pool our money together and get out there and have fun. And sometimes when we would do that, we would pay somebody to bring their speakers out or pay the DJ to come out there and get somebody to barbecue some food. And I mean, we used to have a great time in the project, man. A lot of things went on. I'm pretty sure some people from New Orleans, they remember the Melph splashes. We used to give like the splashes in the project. We used to put together, some of us, and get these big old swimming pools and some small pools for the kids and get together and have out there and have a whole splash. Yeah. Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, one of those weekend days, mostly Saturday or Sunday. But yeah, also, there's a guy by the name of DJ Jubilee, one of the bounce kings out of New Orleans. He used to have the DJs in the Melphomene Project every Sunday. People used to come from all over New Orleans, from downtown, from uptown, from New Orleans East, from the West Bank. They used to come to the Melphomene Projects on Sunday and come to those DJs. There's a video, a documentary called New Orleans Exposed, and it shows a few of those DJs where the Melph was giving those DJs on a Sunday. DJ Jubilee used to come out on the weekend and do those DJs, man. But yeah, growing up in the project, it was a good time, it was a great time, and sometimes it got pretty hard. Sometimes it got pretty rough. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, everybody had their own individual battles that they had to fight. But I actually had fights with two different sets of brothers on a consistent basis. It was two different sets of brothers that I used to get into fights with on a consistent basis. The first set of brothers, I got to shout out George and Derek Watson. Yeah, they stayed right across the street from me. Rest in peace to George. Shout out to Derek. Man, those guys there, bro. I'm talking about bullies. Yeah, real bullies. Both brothers was bullies. And you had to have a fight with them to get your skills up. And I fought with them like once a week. Yeah, they were just, they were terrible, man. I'm going to say that. They were terrible. But they were good dudes. I mean, I love them all today now, but yeah, they were terrible. The other set of brothers, I got a shout out on Clio's side of the project. I got a shout out Ike and Mike D. Yeah. Shout out to Ike and Mike D. I didn't have many fights with Mike D. We got into a lot of arguments. He was under me, so he mostly fought with my brothers. But me and Ike, though, oh man, we tore it up a few times, man. That's my dude. That's my dude, Ike and Mike D. I love those dudes. But we had a lot of incidents, a lot of run-ins. I can remember specifically one time when us in the project, in a driveway, we used to get the water hydrant and get the big monkey wrench and open up the water hydrant and all the water come out and everybody get out there, the fellas get out there in their little shorts and stuff, you know. The women come out there in their little high Daisy Duke shorts or they two pieces. Sometimes they used to do that, put the two piece on and put the shorts on. Or some would just come out there in their two piece and get in that water. Ike had a bucket of water. And he used to take that bucket of water, fill it up with water, and just hit unsuspecting individuals with the water. So I come out my porch one day. Now, I'm not in the water. I ain't getting wet. Even though it's about 50 or 60 steps away from my porch. But it was in my driveway. I'm sitting on the porch. When I come on my porch, there was this young lady by the name of Keon. That's Anzel and Keon. Their brother is Kareem. Rest in peace, Kareem. But Anzel and Keon were some girls in the project. Everybody was kind of like crazy about it, whatever. They stayed across the street from me. And I was crushing on Anzel. But Keon was her little sister, which was my little partner. So Ike took his bucket of water and ran up on Kian and dumped it on top of her head. Almost drowned the girl. Because that bucket was real big. The bucket that he had was a real big bucket. So he dumped it on top of her head. Like, he just turned the whole bucket over on her head. And when she finally got back and got herself together, she realized who did it, and she spit at him. So him, in turn, he slapped the girl in her face. And she's a red bone. She's a red female, very light complexion. She light-skinned. She sat on my porch and started crying, so I asked her what she was crying about. And when I looked in her face, you could really see almost fingerprints in her face. I was like, what happened? And she was like, I threw the water on me, and he slapped me in my face. She's crying these hard tears. And I was like, what? He really did that? And she was like, yeah, that just pissed me off. That just made me hot. Because I looked over there, and he just having fun, just steady hitting people with water. He didn't worry about what transpired or none of that. So I went over there and asked him. I said, did you slap this girl? He said, yeah, I slapped her. She tried to spit on me. I said, she didn't spit on you. She tried to spit on you. He said, yeah. I said, but did she try to spit on you because you dumped the water on her head? He said, yeah, so what? As soon as he said that, I just popped him. I literally just popped him in the face, and we started fighting. Now remember, he's already wet. I'm dry. So the crowd hyping the fight up. Man, they started dishing both of us with water. They started hitting me with water, hitting him with water in the middle of the fight. Man, that was crazy. It was a crazy scene out there, but yeah, though, shout out to Ike and Mike D, man. We had some episodes in that project, but those were just one of many episodes where we had to really get it in the project, though. We really had to fight. You had to learn your respect, because there was a point of time when the guys off Martin Luther King's side of the project didn't really too much care for the guys off of Clio's side of the project, which is my side, the back side. Martin Luther King was the front side. Then you had guys off of Clio that didn't really care for guys off of Martin Luther King like talking about it. But, I mean, it was very seldomly like that. Very seldomly it was like that. Because we always used to come together as a whole. Like anytime we had to go against anybody else or feud against any other project, the Melph came together. That's what I loved about my project. We stuck together. You know, we kind of encourage one another, you know what I'm saying, to move forward and do our thing and get better. And man, yeah, it was real rough coming up in that project. It was some things that transpired in that project that I can remember, bro, that are legendary. Yeah, there's some things happening in that project that are real legendary. I got into a fight with a guy. I'm 6'1". I'm going to shout out Mr. Myron Hawkins. Yeah. And that fight, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, wow. Myron is about 6'9". Yeah, he's about 6'9". He was about 6'9", and he weighed about 280 pounds, if not 300. Yeah. He easily could have been 300 pounds. I'm just giving an estimate. I believe he was about 280, 290 at this time. And I was real slim. I didn't have all this bulk that I got now. I was real slim then. I had to be a good 165, 175 at the time. And man, we got into it about basketball. We were playing basketball against each other for $100 a man. And we got into an altercation, but one thing led to another. And Myra said he wanted to fight. And me looking at him, I'm like, I'm not about to fight you head up. At this time, there wasn't no plastic bottles. The soft drinks, or should I say we call it cold drinks, which y'all may call a cola, we had the Big Shot pineapples in a bottle, a glass bottle. I broke it and left the part that you drink out of with the little cone on it like this. And it was cut on the edge. It was broken on the edge, so it had some real sharp edges. And I was going to use that to stab him up if he come try to fight me. Yeah, because you got to remember, this dude, this a big old dude. Like, you got to literally look up to talk to him. Some places he went in, he had to duck down. but he was out the Melph. I mean, #1 prospect, played basketball, you know what I'm saying, for De La Salle. You go in De La Salle right now, man, this man got trophies up, pictures up, certificates, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, he was that dude. He was that dude. I don't think he made it to the pros because his knees kind of went out on him and got injured or something like that. But, man, dude was a monster on the basketball court. So he used to get out there and kind of run with us to stay in shape. But, man, I took that bottle and cracked it. And when he came for the fight, we put our hands up like we were about to fight. You know, we squared up. And when he swung, oh, it's a wrap. Now I got to go at you. We went to swinging at each other, but I got the bottle in my hand the whole time. So when he grabbed me, I kind of hit him in the stomach with it a few times. Man, listen. My brother, sick with it. And another brother of mine that's not actually my brother, we call him our brother. His name is Sherman. We call him AKA Doug. They tried to come take the bottle from both of us. Now understand what I'm telling you. My hand wrapped in the bottle. Sick hand wrapped in the bottle. Doug hand on top of sick hand. Both of them trying to take the bottle out of my hand. I don't want to let it go. Myron comes. He peels Doug hand off. Then he peels sick with his hand off. Then he peels my hand open and takes the bottle and hits me in the head with the bottle. Yeah, real talk. Man, I was leaking. I had to get stitches inside and outside my head. Right here. Under my hair, I got a hook right here. As I'm running to try to go get to my gun, my head is just flapping. It looks like my ear has came off. But it's my actual skin on part of my head. Yeah, real talk, man. It was serious. That was a fight, like, for the ages. I'm talking about the whole project came out for that fight. That fight must have lasted every bit of 30, 35 minutes. No exaggeration. No cap. So many people came from out the middle court and off of Martin Luther King. They could not believe. When they heard that Skipp and Big Myron was fighting, oh, they couldn't believe that. They had to come see for themselves. Man, he had blood all over him. I had blood all over me. Man, that shit was legendary. People still talk about that fight right now today. So, yeah, it was rough. I was rushed to Charity Hospital. So, yeah, that was a legendary fight right there. Speaking of Charity Hospital, that's where a lot of us in New Orleans were born at, Charity Hospital. And that's where a lot of people tried to go to when they got shot in the Melph. Excuse me, let me tell you this. Martin Luther King's side of the Melph was called Vietnam. Vietnam. Each courtway had a different name. Martin Luther King's side of the project was called Vietnam. The middle of the project was called Struggle City. Struggle City. There's a reason why it was called Struggle City, because my side of the project was called the Graveyard. They called Martin Luther King's side of the project Vietnam because it was a lot of warfare, a lot of gunfire. Gunfire may start at 6:30 in the evening, might not stop till 3 in the morning. Not consistent gunfire. But you might hear some shots go off about 6:15, 6:30. Then it'll stop. Then you may hear some more gunshots going off about 7:45. You might hear 20, 30, 40 shots. Stop. More gunshots may go off at about 8:20. So on and so forth on through the night. That was a consistent thing in the Melphomene Project. If you went on Martin Luther King's side of the project, first of all, you better be strapped. Second of all, you better have a damn good reason for going on that side of the project. Some people used to walk through that side of the project to get to Martin Luther King because they had the 24-hour stores on that side that would never close. So most of the time, our moms, aunts and uncles, grandmothers, grandfathers, what have you, would send us on the outskirts of the project to get to Martin Luther King and go to the 24-hour store. They didn't want you walking through that project. That wasn't a good thing to do. That wasn't a good idea. But if you got shot on Martin Luther King side of the project, you would go through the middle court between Thalia and Errata, and they would call that struggle city, because you would struggle to get to my side of the project. Now, in the back of the Melph, there's the Earhart Expressway. Along the Earhart Expressway is the Greyhound Amtrak station. They got cabs, taxi cabs, lined up on that side at the Greyhound station. When people got shot on Martin Luther King, their mindset was, in order for me to get to the hospital, I got to get to this Greyhound. I got to get to one of these taxi cabs, or get these cab drivers to get me to the hospital. So the mindset was, when you got shot on Martin Luther King, a lot of people, they would try to go through struggle city, struggle to get to my side of the project, because a lot of times they collapsed and died on my side of the project, on Clio. That's why they called it the graveyard. But if you were fortunate enough to not be shot up that bad, or get shot that bad, you would make it to the Greyhound station, get a cab, and they would get you to Charity Hospital. Yeah. This is the story that I got from the old heads, and this is how I'm giving it to y'all. That's how it went in that project. Yeah, definitely. Now, don't get me wrong. There were different times of day. Broad daylight, people used to get shot in the Melph. Broad daylight. Our project actually made the newspaper a number of times, because it was called, as Time-Picayunes would have it, Heron Alley. Heron Alley. And the picture of the Melphomene right under it. The words Heron Alley in front of the Times-Picayune, which was a newspaper that was in the city of New Orleans for quite some time. They closed now, but the Times-Picayune was our newspaper. And it had on the front of the newspaper, Heron Alley. Well, some people say heroin. In New Orleans, we say heroin. Now, you might find very few people that might say heroin, but in New Orleans, it's heroin. People used to come into Melphomene from St. Rose, LaPlace, Kenner, the West Bank, New Orleans East, and come all the way uptown to the Melphomene Project to get heroin. If you wasn't going to the to the Melphomene Project for heroin, you were going to the St. Thomas, or you was going to the 17th. Absolutely. When people didn't want to go, because you got to pass the third ward up, the Melph, the Mac, the Callio, you got to pass them up to get to the 17th. When people didn't want to go that far to the 17th, they definitely stopped in either the third ward, Melph, Mac, Callio, or they went to the 10th ward, which is the St. Thomas Project. But a lot of times, the Melphomene Project, that's what it was known for a lot of times. Heroin Alley, people coming to get heroin out the project. So, yeah, a lot of guys, when they jumped into the drug world as far as hustling wise, I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of guys sold coke and crack and all of that, but the main hustle where the money was at was the heroin trade. And that's what a lot of people did in the Melphomene Projects. Like, you could walk through these courtways and these alleyways or walk through the ramp. The ramp is what separated the buildings in the project, which was a little walkway. And when you walk through the ramp, you would look on the ground, or on the ramp itself, you would see needles everywhere. Needles. You would see the bottom can of a canned Coke or canned Pepsi. They would take the can and keep twisting it and crack it and take the bottom of it, put water in it with their heroin and stick their needle in and set it on fire, set the bottom of it, heat it up, and do their thing. So yeah, that Melphomene Project, man, was something. But we made some money through that, though. We made a lot of bread hanging in that Melph, coming up in that project, man. We did some things in that project. I would never forget the project, but there was some good. A lot of good came out of that project, too. We had picnics, the Melph picnics. Oh, man, it used to be nice. Used to love the picnic. There was one thing I remember that I loved the most that we did. It was about 50 or 55 men, young men, middle-aged men, and older men, anywhere from, the youngest I think was 8 years old. A little guy brought his little brother. He was 8 years old, and the oldest guy that I remember was 44. And I think that was Blood, red dude out the Melph. Rest in peace, Blood. What we did was we sat down and thought about going to a concert, and we came up with the idea that we were going to go to the Riverboat Hallelujah on Tulane, and everybody in the Melph decided we're going to all wear football jerseys. Oh man, you talking about a beautiful thing. We all decided we was going to wear football jerseys, and whatever jersey you wore, you had to get the tennis to match that jersey. So if you got a Deion Sanders jersey, you had to buy the Deion Sanders tennis. If you got a Dan Marino jersey, you had to buy the Dan Marino tennis. If you got the Charles Woodson jersey, you had got the Charles Woodson tennis, so on and so forth. And I mean, we went everywhere, from the East Bank to the West Bank, Uptown New Orleans, Calverton, Shopping Center. We went everywhere looking for jerseys, especially the Riverwalk. They had the best jerseys. There was a store in the Riverwalk where the tourists usually go at, where they sold football jerseys. And we got the football NFL wristbands with the headbands, and everybody went in there with their football jerseys, man. It was nice. Very seldom do you see guys with the same jersey on. Yeah, if you saw they had a Pittsburgh jersey, somebody may have had if somebody had like a Cordell Stewart, because that was the quarterback, I believe, at that time. If he had a Cordell Stewart jersey on, then another guy, if he had a Steelers jersey on, it would be Jerome Bettis, the bus. So, yeah, that's what it was. And we had fun, man. It was legendary. We had a blast doing that, man. So, yeah. I mean, now some of you guys could take that idea or not. I think that'd be a beautiful thing to do. Get some of you and your friends and y'all get together and y'all just go buy football jerseys and get the matching tennis and go enjoy yourself like that, man. That's camaraderie at its best. Yeah, definitely, man. The Melph is a stand-up project, and I love my hood. Always have, always will. But anyway, Mr. Sean B., I thank you for the topic today, man. And I'm going to speak about different beefs in other videos. You know what I'm saying? I'll do that in other videos. I basically wanted to just speak about the Melph in the hood and how it was growing up in the hood. And I will say the Melph motivated you to become a better person. It motivated you to think about your life and where you wanted to go at. It made you want to get out and be more successful. You know what I'm saying? And that's what the Melph did for me, and I'm pretty sure it did for a lot of other people. But with that being said, man, I thank you, Mr. Sean B., for your topic today. And like I said, I encourage all you guys to get in the comments and let me know next subject you want me to speak about. Until then, Rippa, a.k.a. Skipp out the Melph, signing off. Y'all have a blessed one.